have these students reach out to them, or them to reach out to the students, and the faculty can bring that to the AMS table, because otherwise we're going to have too many seats, and the council body itself is a very, there's a lot of debates that go on in meetings, and if we add further to that, it's really going to decrease the efficiency of how council runs, and I feel resources groups would be the best way to go about it.
Hi, I'm actually really glad you brought this up finally, because this is actually one of my platform points, is the restoration of the international student seat, which was recently abolished by council. And I feel that, to answer your original question, which was, do you think there should be seats for special interest groups on campus? I think you can't give a blanket yes or a blanket no to that. And I think one of the worst arguments I've heard for why the international student seat should be abolished was because then everyone will want a seat. Well, then we should take those discussions as they come. It's a fundamentally undemocratic thing to say, well, we shouldn't have this seat and everyone will want one. Well, if people have legitimate grievances and the legitimate desire and there's enough student backing for it, we should be willing to have those discussions. I would have to say I disagree with Carolee in the fact that she values efficiency over democracy in this sense. She doesn't want more seats because it'll make it more difficult, I suppose, to reach consensus of very specific groups, but without those voices, how can you really call it democratic? It's, it kind of boggles my mind that you would want to eliminate the international student seat when, not you specifically, I'm sorry, generally council say, when they pay such a disproportionate amount of money to be here and really enhance our experience so much. Some of my best friends are international students, and the cultural exchange that goes on with them is fantastic. And for them to have a voice for their very, very unique experience at UBC, I think is ridiculous.
Just sort of really quickly. You made a statement that you sort of disagreed with Carolee's stance of efficiency over democracy. I figure I'll give Carolee a really quick chance to sort of discuss that sort of thing, and then we'll jump in and give Kyle the last word on the issue. Does that work for everybody?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't value efficiency over democracy. What I mean by saying is that democracy is important because we can't have one seat for one group and then take them as they come, because then what's it saying that one resource group is more important than the other? Because you know what, they're all important. We need to be able to listen to everybody. And if we have one seat for one issue, then what about the other issues? They all deserve like a voice, and I think the best way to go through that is there's so many other ways that you can get around through that. I know with the international students seat, I think Ben, the VP Academic, is working in a way to get their voices out, and so I think he's working on creating a separate body, which would be so much more efficient to work alongside us. There's so many ways that we can get voices out, but council itself is not the best place to do it, because there's so many things you have to go through. You have to go through committees as well, and maybe having seats on committees would be the best way to do it, because everything has to go through a committee, then you go through to the council, and council's where they pass. And it's the best place to really hear voices out is not exactly in council itself. There's so many different ways you can go about getting voices out in a much more effective way.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad that this issue has been brought up, because it's definitely not one we want to leave on the table. Yes, I did vote against continuing to have the international student seat. And what's frustrating to me about this whole debate is this sort of dichotomy, which is either you support the seat or you are not supportive of international students and their contributions. And a similar argument's made with regards to disabled students. Well, what I would point out is when you look at one of the more recent issues of the UBC, actually one of the people who said that there's a substantial positive out of the abolition of the seat is the current incumbent representative, Brittany Perna, whose seat will no longer exist after this year. And that's because she recognized that there was some other mechanisms that can be done to try to increase international engagement. And we see parallels in terms of how the university is Aboriginal Advisory Council, a Sustainability Advisory Council, and an International Student Advisory Council, all of which have direct liaisons and they have direct ear of the president of the university. I think that there's definitely a model there that is at least worth exploring. Whether or not it's the perfect model, I think won't be clear until we've looked at it very in-depth and very systematically, but I think it's quite irresponsible to sort of say, if you don't support this one way to try to have a progressive approach to a marginalized group, then you don't support that marginalized group. I think it's really important that we remember right now that AMS is completing a survey by a professional organization on systemic discrimination. And I feel it's quite prudent that we don't try to reform the system in a piecemeal way, one seat at a time, while leaving the underlying system intact before we have a full recommendation about a systematic way that we could deal with issues. Seat by seat creates a confusing mishmash, and I don't think that anyone wants to defend the status quo, but if we want to change the status quo, we should be changing it intelligently and efficiently, and we should take into account the advice given to us by professionals.
All right, I'd like to thank all the candidates for their time and invite them to now make some closing comments. We started with the opening comments with Carolee, as I understand, so we'll start with Kyle and work the way back.
Hello everyone again. So, in my time at UBC, I think there's a lot that I've been able to get done. Whether it's at the PSSA, organizing a successful all-candidates debate in the federal by-election with all members of parliament candidates attending, or organizing a successful debate contest, also with the PSSA, whether it's greatly revamping the code and other documents of the Arts Undergraduate Society to boost our efficiency for the future, successful advocacy on external relations issues at the AMS. I think there's a lot of things I've been able to do. But one of the things that I kind of regret is this year I tried to do a lot of things. I tried to be both a constituency executive and an alma mater society representative. And although I feel that I fulfilled my duties in both cases as specified in code, there were times when I couldn't give absolutely 100% to either one. So this time I'm only asking you to vote for me for the position of alma mater society arts representative. And I can promise you that if you will give me that vote, I'll be able to devote myself 100% to that. And you're going to see that my results that I've achieved so far will multiply greatly as my time commitment also is able to multiply greatly. Thank you.
Hey, so closing remarks. I feel I've been pretty clear during this debate on where I'm coming from on most of these issues. I've labeled myself a progressive candidate, and I absolutely stand by that. My political origins with resource groups, but I'm not going to bore you with another blurb about why I'm here, what this is about. Vote for me if you want to advocate for lower tuition. Vote for me if you want the restoration of the international student seat and general democratic broadening of the AMS.
So yes, my name is Carolee and I'm running for AMS to re-elect, and I am vote for me because I am passionate about these issues that conflict students. I'm very approachable. I willingly go to see people that I don't even know and be like, what do you think about this? And if they don't know what it is, I'm willing to explain it. I feel that I'm a very approachable person, very friendly person, and I really, really want to work towards bridging that gap between the students and the AMS, because the AMS's role is to serve the UBC students, and we can't do that if we don't have the backing of the students. And as I said, I'm willing to voice what the students feel, and I'm willing to vote no or yes in council, depending what they think, yeah. So yeah, vote for me, Carolee. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody, and thanks for paying attention.